Hi everybody, it's Mr. Greg, and this is the third lesson in my music program called Music 123. If you'd like to know more about that program, you can go to music123.org and you can see all of my videos on my YouTube channel, which is called Music 123 Education. In our last session, we learned about counting in music and how to count in groups of 4 and then at different times during that 4-beat count. We did all of that to get ready for this session about percussion instruments because counting is the most important thing to know when you're going to play these percussion instruments. From our first lesson, you may remember that there are 3 different types of percussion instruments. Some you hit, some of them you shake, and some of them you scrape. We also learned that some of them play a particular note, like a xylophone, but most of them don't. They just make a sound. I want to show you all of the different types of percussion instruments I have with me today and tell you what they're called and show you how to play them so that when we're able to get together again, you'll be able to pick your favorite one and play it. Percussion instruments that don't play any particular note can be made out of anything. Some are made of wood, some are made of metal, some are made of things that you find in nature. And what they're made out of has a lot to do with what they sound like. And I have some that are in all 3 of those categories, and I'll start with the ones that you shake. This one is actually, you can shake it, but it's called a cabasa. And the way you play it is you put your hand over it like this, and then you twist. So it sounds like a shaker, but you don't exactly shake it. These are instruments that I'm sure all of you have seen, and you know what these are. These are maracas, and you do shake them. And they sound like that. Okay, then we have another instrument you've probably heard of or seen, and this is a tambourine. You hold the tambourine in this hand, and you gently hit it against your other hand, like that. And then we have, what do you think this is? You're right, it's an orange, but don't eat it because it is actually made of plastic and it has dried up beans in it, and it's a shaker. It sounds like this. And if you don't like oranges, maybe you like apples. This is also a shaker. And if you don't like apples and oranges, maybe you like bananas. Also a shaker. Now, some shakers, this is a shaker that is made out of natural materials. It's made out of the same kind of thing you'd make a basket out of, like a reed. It's made in Africa, where they don't have a whole lot of music stores to go buy stuff like this. And like I said before, you can make percussion instruments out of just about anything. This one also has dried up beans in it, and they closed in the basket, and it sounds like that. From that same part of the world, they made this. This is a piece of bamboo, and they just split the bamboo in half, put bottle caps in between, and it's a shaker, a pretty cool shaker. And the last thing in the shaking category is this. And if we were together, I would ask you to guess what this is made of, and you could see it and touch it. There has been a lot of guesses, but this is also made in a country where they don't have a lot of music stores, but they have a lot of goats, and those goats have big toenails. And when they cut their toenails, just like all of us do, they look like this. and then they sew them to a piece of fabric, and it's a great little shaker. Pretty cool. Okay, so now we're going to go get into the stuff that you hit. So these are two sticks, are called claves, and you hit them together to make a noise. Not a note, but a noise. Just like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is something similar. It's also made of wood. It's just called a wood block because that's what it is, a block of wood. You hit it with this mallet and it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one, you just hit, this is a tiny cymbal. It's called a splash cymbal because the sound it makes is a little bit like a little splash, like this. Splash cymbal. Okay, and the last thing in the hitting category is this thing, which is a cowbell. The reason they call it a cowbell is because in some countries, cows wear this around their neck so they can find them. Sometimes the cows are able to hide from their owners, and the owners always want to be able to find them. And so they put these bells around their neck, and when they walk around, it sounds like this. Moo. It sounds like that. And then they know where the cows are. But somebody decided they were going to use this to play music. So when you do that, you hold it in your hand like this, and you hit it with this stick. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And how you hold it is what can make a very different sound. If I hold it like this, it's very loud. But if I hold it like this, with my hand around the back of it, it sounds like that. Very different. Okay, now finally, we'll get into the things that we scrape. This is something I made in my garage with some sandpaper and a couple of blocks of wood. They are called wood blocks, and they are sand blocks, and you play them like that. And then we have this thing, it's called a güiro. It is a gourd, a natural material thing. They cut ridges in it like this, and then you take this stick and you scrape it across the ridges. And it sounds like that. And then one last thing to scrape is, what does that look like? Yes, it is a frog. You want to hear the frog croak? Are you ready? Okay, be quiet, here he comes. Didn't that sound like a frog croaking? Let's do it again. Pretty cool. You scrape the stick across his back and the frog will croak for you. So one more kind of unusual thing I want to show you is this thing here is called a vibra slap, because when you slap it, it vibrates. It's kind of a funny sounding instrument, and if you hit it just right, it sounds like this. Like that. Pretty cool. This is one of the favorite things for all of you kids to play when we get together in person, and the next time we do, I will be sure to have it with me. So, one more thing in the hitting, I forgot the most important thing in the hitting category, the most popular thing I have in the hitting category, and that is bongo drums. These are also very popular, and I will have them with me the next time we get together. So now I'm going to put on a little bit of music and play a few of these instruments for you. Let's do that right now. I'll start with the cowbell. Pretty fun. Okay, how about the clave? Okay, we gotta have a shaker. Okay, let's try something that you scrape, the güiro. There you go. And of course, the maracas. I know you can't wait to hear the frogs play on this song, so here he comes. Pretty fun. And what about the splash cymbal? What would that sound like? Can't forget the bongo drum. Okay. So now, you know, when percussion instruments are playing, usually there are a lot of them playing together. And there's usually a lot of percussion instruments playing together, but they don't all play on the same beat. Remember when we were clapping to We Are Family in lesson 2, we clapped on 2 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And I said you could clap on any beat you wanted. Well, when a bunch of people get together and play percussion instruments, they play them on different beats to make it sound good. And I want to just kind of demonstrate how they do that. I'll show you a little example. So listen. We're going to listen, and we are going to first hear a shaker. That's the first thing we're going to hear. Actually, what you're going to hear is it sounds like a shaker, but it's actually a cabasa, like this. It'll sound like that. Listen, are you ready? Here we go. Hear it? Now let's add bongo drums. Now let's add claves right here. Now let's add a cowbell. And there's the frog. Hear the frog? Yep. No. And then the vibra slap. You heard the vibra slap. Did you hear that? Pretty cool. Okay, let's listen to that one more time. And listen to all the different instruments come in, and notice that they're not playing all at the same time, but they're playing in the same tempo. And that's what's really cool about playing percussion instruments. So again, first we're going to hear the cabasa, which sounds like a shaker. There it is. Then the bongo drums are going to come in. Now the clave. Right there. Now the cowbell. dog. Now the viper slap. Pretty cool. Okay, and that's our percussion ensemble, and a really good demonstration of how percussion instruments play together. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you again in person. I hope you enjoyed this lesson covering percussion instruments. And when I do see you again in person, you'll be able to play all of these instruments now that I've shown you how to do it. But in the meantime, you can see all 6 of my lessons on my YouTube channel I mentioned earlier, called Music 123 Education. Lesson 4, the next one, Lesson 4 is an introduction to many different types of music. So be sure to watch that one next. See you soon.